Good evening, everyone. If you can hear my voice, can you put it on the chat box, please? If you can hear my voice, can you please put it on the chat box that you can hear my voice? All right. Thank you very much. So I'll wait for about 5 minutes while we wait for some people to join. Then I will start the class. So last week we talked about data. We introduce where clause, and we talk about ordering of data, where we talk about ascending and descending order. So while we wait for others to join, let me share my screen. So I will open the MySQL workbench. So today we are going to be talking about the aggregate functions. The aggregate functions in Python, in SQL, sorry. And don't forget that this is our database. This is our table. So what do I mean by aggregate functions? I meant by the sum, count, average, and the likes. So I said I'm going to wait for about 5 minutes before I start for people to join. So let me refresh our memory of what we did last week. So I said we use star to select all. So select star from, and don't forget I said the schema is employees. So select star from employees dot departments, and let's run this. So that is for the employee, and we have the where clause. So last week I introduced the where clause. So I said where, let's say, department number equals to D009. So if we should run this, so that will give us, we see D009 customer service. And we also talk about ordering, that is either through ascending order or descending order. So just give me a minute. So I'll start the class now. I believe that you can all see my screen. All right, so like I said, we are going to be talking about aggregate functions. So let's start with this. So we have all these department number, department name. So if we want to count the number of department numbers that we have, if we want to count the number of department numbers that we have, So I would just say count. Now you can see the keyword. So I will say count, but I'm not using the keyword, I'm using the library. So I will say count depth number from employee departments. So if I want to know all the departments in this organization, like I said, this is a fake data, it's a fake database and it's not real. So I will use the word count. So if your stakeholder asks you, okay, can we know how many departments in this organization? So you use the word count. Count departments. Okay, I think there's C here. Yeah, department number. So as we can see, we have 9. Now, last week I taught you alias. We have 9 departments in this organization. So you can see that the title change as count department number. So last week I taught you alias. So you can make use of the alias here and say the total number of departments. The total number of departments. So you can see total number of departments. The title has changed here to total number of departments. Let me see if I can still admit 1 or 2 people. So that's why you should join early enough. So that's why I'm not admitting any other person again. So now, that was what I taught you earlier as last week. Now let's go ahead and select. Let's just select salary star from employees dot salaries. Let's look at the columns for salary. Now you will observe that I didn't click the upper one. So all I did was just to highlight this and run it. So it's not going to run the upper one. It's just going to run what I highlight, what was highlighted alone. So this is select star from employee. If you are asked what is the average salary of the people in this organization, that is, what is the average salary? If your boss asks you, can we know the average salary of the people in this organization? What are you going to do? So you use AVG. So AVG salary. So let's use alias as average salary. So let's run it. You can see, so this is the average salary for this organization. This is the average salary for this organization. So if we want to know the minimum salary, all we need to do again is we can still put it together. So let's say minimum, and let's change this to minimum salary. So let me run it. So this is the minimum salary for this organization. So if you want to check the maximum salary, maximum, and change the alias to maximum salary. That's why we call it aggregations. They are aggregations. They are all aggregations. So I've done for average, I've done for, if you want to know the total salary, that is the total salary for the organization, how much this organization is spending on salary, So we use the word sum. We use sum. So sum salary as total salary. Then let's run this. So this is the total salary. That's the sum of all the total salary for this organization. Now, let's come back to this because we want to introduce something. I want to introduce something now. So let me change this to star. Now, you can see that this is a single employee, and this employee was changing job, and so his salary was increasing and increasing because this is an employee number. This is a single employee number. And if we want to know the number of employees, just like we use count up here, let's load the number of employees as well. The number of employees for this organization. So we change this to employee counts temp number as, yes, as total number of employees. Now, you will notice something that I am using underscore in the alias. There must not be any space. And I'm using underscore so that it will be easy to understand. So from employees dot salaries, because that's where the table is. Employees dot salaries. So let me run it. So this is the total number of employees in the organization. That's the total number of employees in the organization. So let me run this again. So if we want to know, for example, for each employee, what is their average salary? Now, don't forget that what we calculated there was the average salary for all of the employees, but we want to know the average salary for each of the employees. Now, if you are working in a place, depending on the policy of that place, every year they increase your salary, and so they can calculate. And that is what happened to this the employee number 1001. So his salary kept increasing from 60,000 to 62,000 to 66 and blah, blah, blah. And it kept increasing and increasing. So if you want to know the average salary of each employee, not of all the employees, of each employee, so that is where the group by comes in. So when you see each, when you hear the word each, so when possibly your stakeholder told you, can I know the average sales, maybe it's average sales or average sales of product or the average profit in a month of each of our products. So when you hear the word each, you know that you are going to introduce the group by clause. You are going to introduce the group by clause. So because it is very, very important that we note that. So we want to know the average, so AVG, the average salary for each employee. And we want to know their employee number as well. So we say AVG salary as average salary. Then the way you arrange this thing is how they are going to be arranged. So let me start with select employee number, emp number, comma, average salary as this. So if I should run this now, it's not going to work. Reason being that I want each. Let me attempt to run it now. You will see that it's not going to work. So let me attempt to run it. You can see error because there's an aggregation. So I have to use group by. So you only use group by when there is an aggregation. That is when you, what I mean by aggregation is when you do a calculation in your code, then you have to use a group by clause. So group by, it has to be grouped by this variable, which is here, the group, the employee number. Group by employee number. It has to be grouped by it because we want to know for each of the employees. So let me run it now. So you can see this is the average salary for each of the employees. So if I want the rest of the columns, let me select all from, if I want the rest of the columns to be involved, so this is how I'm going to do it. If I want the rest of the columns, so let's say select star from employee salary, and let me put, so let me run this. Let me select this and run it. So we have from date. So what it means is that I have to copy from date here. Okay, this one can come after this from, oh, sorry. So from dates, from dates, then to dates, if I want the rest to be involved. So now, because I want the rest to be involved as well, if I should run this alone with the employee number, with group by the employee number, is not going to work. So I have to include the from date and the to dates. Let's try to run it without it now. You see that it's going to give an error. You can see it has already given us an error. So because all the other variables has to come under the group by clause as well. They have to come under the group by clause as well. So the from dates, the to dates. So let's run it now. Maybe, yeah. So you can see that it has come up now. So I have the employee number, the average salary, the from dates, and the to dates. Now, if you notice very well, you will observe that the way I arrange it from this place to this place, that's the way it's going to come in. That is the way I arranged, that's the way it has shown. If I have my average salary first, the first column will also be the average salary. The first column will also be the average salary. So let me run it now. See the arrangements here now. You can see that the employee number was the first column here, but I've exchanged it. So let me run this now. So when you are using group by clause, it takes time to load. And the reason why it is taking time to load is because it is grouping by all the columns and all the rows that you gave to all the columns that you gave that you have supplied in your code. So you can see that the average salary comes first here. So depending on what your stakeholder wants, they might give you a prototype. Oh, this is how we want it. This is how we want you to do it for us. And so this is what we need. So it is very, very important that you follow what is, I just showed to you how you can rearrange yourself if you want to rearrange. So if I want my from date to come first, my from date will come first. I have some other things I want to do, but let me see if we have any question. If maybe I'm too fast, I can go back. Please, why did we add the select statements in front of the system? Can't we start from count directly? Yeah, obviously, I don't know. I don't know if you are not in the first class. We cannot use counts because that is where it is SQL, structure query language. So when you want to extract a table from a table, when you want to extract from a table, the first statement has to be select. So if you don't know anything in SQL, you have to know that your first statement has to be select. You can't just say count, no. That's why there's something that is not part of that I'm not going to teach you in, because this is more or less like a basic class. We have delete. You can delete from a database. You can commit. You can roll over. Those are commands, and they are not part of extraction. Everything I'm going to teach you in this module is just all about select command. It's just all about select command. How to extract data. That's everything I'm going to teach you. How to extract data from the database. That's everything I'm going to teach you in this class. So if you want to query a database, select is the number one thing you are going to do. So although there are other commands, just like I've said, delete, if you want to delete a table, if you want to commit a table, if you want to roll over a table and stuff like that. But that is more or less like an advanced class. If you want to roll over a table, if you want to create, there's also a create command. We can create a table as well. There's a create command. Then we can also create a view as well. And we can create stored procedures. But in this module, it's all about selection, it's all about extracting from a database. So I believe that you understand now. All right. You can drop your questions. You can keep dropping your questions. So now, so we've selected the average salary. So what if your boss now asks you that, okay, can we have out of the average salary, can we have one, can we have out of these average salaries, if you have a criteria that says we only need people that are collecting above the average salary that is above 70,000. How are you going to do that? That you have we want only people that their average salaries is above 70,000. That is, that's the only thing they want. Only people that their average salary is above 70,000. Now you remember that when we were doing where employee salary is above 50,000, but now they said where the average salary is above 70,000 naira. They do not say where the salary. So if it is where the salary, so that's the difference between a where clause. So where clause and having clause. So for a where clause and having clause is used, so you comment with this, with the hash as well. So having clause is used for aggregate functions. I will explain what I'm saying. While where clause is used just for selection. Where the where clause is used for just for selection. Now, let me explain what I'm saying. So if now, we have up here, select all the table where salary is, let me now say where salary is above, where salary is above 70,000 naira, where the salary is above 70,000 naira. So let me run this. Now, you can see that it gave me that. However, this is not what my stakeholder needs. What I read in the email address is where the average salary is above 70,000 naira. So where you have where the average salary is above 70,000 naira, then obviously you cannot use the where clause. The where clause cannot work for aggregate functions. So let me try it now. They said where the average salary is greater than 70,000. So let's try it and see if it's going to work. You can see that it's giving us an error. It's not going to work. So when you want to filter by an aggregate function, so that is where the having clause now comes in. So the having clause has to come after the group by function. You need to understand that. The having clause, it has to come after the group by function. So having average salary, let me copy this now, greater than 70,000. So having average salary greater than 70,000. So let me run this now. So it's running. You can see all the average salaries here, they are greater than 70,000. Now, look at the error code that he gave. He said invalid use of group functions. I mean, when I ran this the other time, he said invalid use of group functions. So note this at the back of your mind very well, that for having clause, you use it for aggregate functions, while the where clause is just used for filtering, selection and filtering. So it does not involve aggregate functions at all. It doesn't involve aggregate functions at all. So let me see if we have any question. Do we have any other question before I continue? Any other question? Okay, that means I'm well understood. All right, let's move on. So let's try what we have done now with another table, that is using the group by clause, using the having clause. So let's select star from, let's use another table, employees dot employees. So here now we have the employee number, the birth date, we have the first name, the last name. Now let me introduce something here. So if we want it to be ordered, the order by clause that I taught you last week, for example, if you are told that it should be ordered by the highest, that is, the highest should come first. If you are told that the highest should come first, that is, what they mean by that is descending order. That is, you want the highest to come first. So you say order by. So what are we ordering by? We are ordering by average salary. So you can copy it with the alias. Now, if you notice something, when I wanted to do having, I didn't pick having average salary. I didn't pick the alias because it's not going to work. It's not going to work. I didn't pick the alias. And you need to take note very well as well. So let's order it by salary and let's use the descending order. I taught you order by last week. So let's run it. You see that the highest will come first. Now you can see the highest is first here now. The highest average salary has come first here. The highest average salary has come first here. So if you want it in ascending order, that is, the smallest should come first. So let's run it. So you can see, because we said it should start from 70,000, we have given, we have filtered it by 70,000. So you can see it started from 70,000. So let me quickly give you a rundown of how the commands in SQL works. It is very, very important that you note it. So you have the select command. So after the select command, you can use the where clause. After the select command, you can use the where clause. The where clause. So here, if I can introduce the where clause here. Let me run this again now. I can say where, let me put it here, where the employee number equal to 9513135. Yeah, 95135. So let me run this now. So you can see it has brought it out for me. All the average salary of the employee number. So that is the syntax. You have the select command, the where clause, followed by the group by clause, the group by, then having by, then the order by. This is how select, when you want to query a database, this is the order. And this is the order that you should follow. Please run a recap group by clause selection. Don't worry, I will run a recap group for clause selection. Why are we putting salary in brackets and not in quotation? Yes, we are putting salary in bracket and not in. This is SQL and it is not. This is SQL and it's not Python. Don't try to put it together. For SQL, this is how you call out a column. This is the syntax of calling out a column of a table in SQL. So it is only when I want to assign that, when I want to assign to a string, that is when I put it in quotation mark. But in Python, if I'm dealing with pandas, that is when I have to put that column in quotation. But for SQL, no, this is how the correct syntax of calling out a column in SQL. So there are two different things. There are two different things. Run a recap group by clause selection, yes. So let me try and run the recap group again, although I've done it. So I said, have this at the back of your brain. The first thing you have to do is to use the select command to select the columns you want to select. The second thing you have to do is to use the where clause. The third thing is to use the group by clause. After the group by clause, you use the having clause. And the last one is the order by clause. So this is how it follows. The select command, the where clause, the group by, the having by, and the other by. In our next class, what we are going to be talking about is how can we join tables together, because you have to know how to join tables together. We have different kind of joining that I'm going to teach you next week: inner join, left join, right join, and the likes. So, but you need to understand this syntax. Select where. So the where clause has to do with just filtering alone. No aggregation. So the only time you use group by clause is only for aggregation, only for aggregation. And what I mean by aggregation is when you want to do calculate count, calculate sum, calculate average. So anytime you are calculating anything on sum, average, anything like that, have it at the back of your brain that you are going to use, especially when you want to fetch out all the columns. But if you just want to calculate the average salary alone and you are not fetching the rest of the columns, you don't need a group by function. But if you need it for each of those columns, then you need a group by functions. You need a group by functions. So when you want to now filter by aggregate function again, that is when you use an having by clause. Then it is also a good practice for you to also know how to comment your code very well. So if I want to comment this code that I wrote now, for the select is selecting, so that anybody that pick up your SQL code will understand, selecting the average salary, employee number, and the dates involved. So the next one here is filtering by the employee number, and this is used to group each of the columns. And for the having by is for filtering by the aggregate functions. And so here is to order by the highest or by the lowest to the highest. Now I want to tweak something here. So let me give an alias to employee number. So select employee number as, let's have it as real employee number. That's an alias. Then the from date to date. Let me leave that. So let's run this now. Now you can see that this has changed to employee number. Now, the reason why I said that, I will tell you now. So let me change. Now, you remember that I have changed the alias here from emp number to employee number. So because of that, let me now say, let me put employee number to this place, group by, and let me run it. You can see that it ran. So we are here again. Let me run it. Even though I've changed the alias. Now, look at that place. It's not going to run. Why is it not going to run? Is because the way SQL runs, SQL treats the last thing that is treated, the first thing that is treated after select a column in SQL is the where clause. It first of all treats the where clause. So it does not recognize this alias. So that is why it's very, very important. Even when you put alias, you have to use the original column here. So let me run it now. And it has come up. So it's very, very important. I just tweaked that so that you will know, you will not go and make that mistake if you are giving alias, and you will not filter by your alias. So do we have any other question? All right. Any question from what we have done so far? Do you have any question? Does it mean that we understood everything? Okay. In the chat box, who can tell me the difference between a where clause and having by clause? So who can tell me the difference? Don't use Google and don't use AI. Just tell me in what you have learned in the class, the where clause and the having clause. Do we have people in this class? You are not responding now. Hello? Please put it on the chat box. Okay, the where clause is for selection. What about the having clause? No, the having clause is not for specific selection. No. How are we going to extract the data? I taught you last week now. Extracting the data, you click on export. Export the data here. When you click on export, then you can save the data and it will save. Click on save. I'm not saving mine. I don't want to, I'm managing my space. And you save the data and you can copy the data to them. So that's how you can extract it. Yes, having clause is for aggregate function, where the where clause is for filtering only. Thank you. The having clause is for aggregate function. When you have aggregate function, that is when you make use of the having clause. And the where clause is just for filtering only. You cannot use it for aggregate function. These are basic principles of SQL. When you get it wrong with all these basics, when you want to write a larger code, where I was working before, I've written a SQL code of more than 1,000 lines. And I think we are going to talk about subqueries towards the end of the class. Yeah, we are going to talk about subqueries, but we are going to talk about I will share a little bit of subqueries, because when you are writing a large count of code in SQL, you have to use subqueries and the likes. So in the absence of no question, let me recap what I've taught you today. Then we call it a day. So next week is more of joining tables together. We'll talk about the inner join, the left join, the right join, the right outer join, and the likes. So when I started with the aggregate function in itself, count, sum, average, minimum, maximum. That was what I started with. Count, sum, average, minimum, maximum, how to calculate that. And I said, if we now want to select it with other columns, then we have to make use of the group by clause. We have to make use of the group by clause. That is, so that it can group it for each of the columns. And when you are using the group by clause, note that it's going to be slow. Your what's it called is going to be slow. Your program running is going to be slow. So, and that was why I now gave this syntax for writing a SQL code. Generally, select where, group by, admin by, order by. In some places where you want to write some if you are going for an interview, a data analyst interview, most of the time what they want to test is this, just the basics. Whether you can place the where clause, the group by clause, the having clause, and the order by clause, whether you can place them correctly. So most of the time it's always, that is what they want to test most of the time. So next week, we're going to talk about the joining of tables. That is how we are going to join the department table to the employee table to the salary tables, and how we can combine their columns together in one table as well. So it's very, very important. So do we have any other person that have any other question? Just put it on the chat box for the next 1 minute before we call it a day. So in the absence of no question, so thank you very much. I will be dropping the video in the next 24 to 48 hours on the WhatsApp group. And like I said, next week, we are going to be talking about the joining of tables together in SQL, which is also very, very important that you know how you can join tables together and how you can put alias as well for tables. You know, all the alias that we have been putting, we have just been putting it for the alias have been for the columns of tables. So we can also put alias for tables in itself. So I will see you next week. Thank you very much for joining the class. So bye for now. Thank you.